Joshua chapter 14. And these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of children of Israel distributed for inheritance to them. By lot was their inheritance, as the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses, for the 9 tribes and the half-tribe. For Moses had given the inheritance of 2 tribes and a half-tribe on the other side Jordan, but unto the Levites he gave none inheritance among them. For the children of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Therefore they gave no part unto the Levites in the land, save cities to dwell in, with their suburbs for their cattle and their substance. As the Lord commanded Moses, so the children of Israel did, and they divided the land. Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, said unto him, Thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and thee in Kadesh Barnea. 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to espy out the land. And I brought him word again, as was in my heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt. But I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses sware on that day, saying, Surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. Now behold, the Lord hath kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years, ever since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 85 years old. As yet I am strong this day, I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now for war, both to go out and to come in. Now therefore give me this mountain, whereof the Lord spake in that day. For thou heardest in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and fenced. If so be the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out, as the Lord said. And Joshua blessed him, and gave unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh Hebron for an inheritance. Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, unto this day, because that he wholly followed the Lord God of Israel. And the name of Hebron before was Kirjath Arba, which Arba was a great man among the Anakims, and the land had rest from war. I love this chapter. I really do. It's one of my favorite in the Old Testament. Not because it's doctrinally so deep or anything else, because it isn't. It is simply the story of, as far as I'm concerned, the key part here is the example of Caleb and his attitude, and the example that Caleb should set for us in our lives and did set for the children of Israel. As a review, when the children of Israel were about 1.5 years out of Egypt, and they had built the tabernacle, the Lord had said, it's time for you to go in and possess the promised land. The children of Israel were hesitant, fearful, and so they wanted to send in some spies. Now, I don't know whether or not they wanted to send in spies so that it would take a longer time before they had to go, or they really wanted to know what the land was like. But they had had lots of examples. The Lord knew exactly what he was doing, and I think it was just a time delay thing. In any event, these 1 prince from each of the 12 tribes go. Caleb was 1 from Judah, and Joshua from Ephraim, and then 10 others. And they go in, and they're gone for a while. And when they come back, amongst other things, they bring pomegranates, which are really, really nice. I love pomegranates. And they bring a bunch of grapes that is so huge. 1 bunch of grapes that is so huge that it takes 2 guys having this bunch of grapes tied to a pole to carry it. And they tell them, Joshua and Caleb, this is a land flowing with milk and honey, boys. There is all kinds of stuff there. This is great. Let's go get it. But the other 10, oh no, we can't do that. There's big cities. There's high walls. The Anakims are there, the sons of the Anakims. The Anakims were giants. This was the name they gave to giants, like Goliath. Now you got to understand that the average Hebrew in that time would have been somewhere between 4'9" and 5'2". They were not big people. And I remember when my 60th birthday came along, I stand 6'1½". In shoes, I'm almost 6'3". My son Mike was not living at home at that particular point in time. He came home, and Mike is 6'5". And I remember being so thrilled to see Mike that I went up to give him a hug. And at that point in time, I realized that I was standing up. I was in my stocking feet, but standing up, my head was on Mike's chest. Not at his neck, not at his face level, on his chest. And the difference in actual height, not counting his running shoes, would have been about 4.5 inches. Now, we think that the Anakims were a name given to a tall race of people, but we think maybe the height might have been 6 feet to 6'4", 6'6", somewhere in there. And depends on how you choose to measure cubit, etc., when we're talking about Goliath. But the interesting thing is, if you're 5'1" and somebody is 1.5 feet taller than you, they are a giant. So the Hebrew people were looking at it and saying, there are giants there. They have walled cities. These are big, populous people. They can fight. They can wield big swords. And what happened is that bad report, that negative report, that one statement is not that we can do it, but these were the leaders. If the leaders don't figure you can do it, you aren't going to do it. Now, if you're the leader in your household, your opinion is going to make a great deal of difference as to whether or not people have the courage to give things a try. And so, as a matter of fact, Caleb and Joshua tried to persuade them that they should go and do it, and the people were going to stone them. So here we find 45 years later, 38.5 years of wandering, 7 years of war, Caleb comes to Joshua, and Caleb and Joshua are the only two guys who were over 20 years of age, alive at the time the people decided not to go in and possess the land. They're the only ones left alive of all of those people 20 years of age and over. Joshua is the leader. Caleb comes to him and says, remember Moses said that the land that my feet trod on, that was going to be my inheritance? Well, these are great cities with great walls, and the Anakims are there. I want that. Now, I can bet you that of all the tribes that were in that area, they all would have thought, woo, I'm sure glad Caleb is getting that, and it isn't something I have to deal with. But Caleb had the faith and the brains and the courage to understand something. Only by taking on a great challenge could he build a great family. Only by giving his family the great challenge and the great work would it instill in them the great faith to do what was necessary for them to be worthy to inherit the land and live righteously to enjoy the blessings of God. So what he was asking for was the opportunity to prove to God that he was faithful, that he was prepared to be obedient, and that he knew God would help him. And that is the lesson of Caleb that can make all the difference in our lives. Be like Caleb.